First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation to be here at the Galicia Innovation Days. I'm going to share a short presentation to talk about Cluster 4. First, I will talk about Cluster 4, and then I will focus on the digital component of Cluster 4.
Se ve bien, ¿verdad?
Perfectamente.
Vale, pues muchas gracias. Bueno, pues como comentaba,
Thank you.
yo soy uno de los puntos nacionales de
So I was saying,
del Cluster
I
4.
am one of the Spanish national contact points for Cluster 4. In my presentation, I will talk in global terms about the way this cluster is structured. There are several technologies included here, and then I will talk about the digitalization. I will show you some details, and I will show you that you are not alone. In the national contact point we are at your disposal, I will tell you about the possibilities that you have to receive additional support. Let's start with the structure and what is the context of this cluster. We've been talking in these innovation days about the importance of missions, about the importance of innovation and partnerships. This is something that we've mentioned. We've seen what kind of partnerships there were. So in this cluster, which has to do with the industry, industrial partnerships are really important. This is going to be something that will have a lot of importance in our cluster as a whole. Also, this cluster includes different political strategies regarding these technologies, both at an industrial level, digital level, and also everything that has to do with the Green Deal, which is embedded in all the different components of the program. To clarify a little bit the program, this is framed in the second pillar, where we have all the different social challenges, and there are three main blocks, or technological areas: digital, industry, and space. This cluster, as others, is also structured in destinations. There are 6 destinations. I think that most programs have 6 destinations. And as you saw before, they are a group of technologies or topics that are grouped by technology. The first one is related with production. The second one focuses on value chains for the industry, but it has mainly to do with materials. The third one focuses on data. The fourth one focuses on emerging digital technologies. The fifth one has to do with space, and the sixth one has to do with human-centered technologies. Out of these, I'm going to focus on the digital components. Carlos and Andrea will talk about the respective components on industry and space. So, out of this Cluster 4 program, everything that has to do with the development of digital technologies is framed within 2 destinations. The one focusing on world-leading data and also human-centered technologies. Well, we can find the digital in many components. As same thing with the Green Deal, which is all over this program and many other programs. Also, digital components are part of many programs. The idea is to use as many digital technologies to help in different fields. But the 3 destinations that I'm going to talk about is focused on on improving the technologies that are applied in other parts of the program. I would also like to mention, regarding the partnerships, well, we've already heard that there are co-program partnerships and institutionalized partnerships. Same thing in the field of digital. Institutionalized partnerships are out of the reach of this, so I'm not going to talk about them. But it's important that you know of their existence, because if you are going to work in any of this line, you have to find here the developments that are going to happen and the financing for them. In this case, we have high-performance computing, key digital technologies, and also smart networks. Well, that would be related, for instance, from the transition from 5G to 6G. There's also a small part outside these partnerships, and then we have co-programmed partnerships. Here, the industry has defined strategic research lines, which are translated in topics within the program. Here, there's an association between artificial intelligent data and robotics. Well, there are three included within artificial intelligence. There's also they have been grouped to define a strategic agenda to be financed, and then there's another one focusing on photonics. These two are the base for the construction of the topics that we are going to see now. I'm going to show you each of these destinations one by one. The first one is related with data. It includes four aspects: data sharing, working on an edge mode or combining cloud computing with edge computing, analytics and Euro HPC. Most things having to do with data are co-programmed, while in the case of Euro HPC, hypercomputing, that is out of the reach of this program. I'm not going to talk about that because that's part of a different program. But if you are interested, I can give you the contact of the people in charge of that, because we are not responsible for that at the CDTI. So I'm going to explain what we want with each of the destination. I will not go into detail in each of the topics, but I'll explain what we are looking for in general terms. In any case, on the different slides, you can see the name of the topic so that you can see what is done in each component, and then in the program you can look for further detail. In gray, you can see closed calls from 2021, and in blue, you see future calls for 2022, which will be opened by the end of November. That is in just a few weeks. So, the first one focuses on data sharing in the common European data spaces. What we look for here we have created data spaces as thematic groups of data to have a better use of them. So, for instance, there have been several sectors, different sectors like industry, energy, health. These are different sectors where they are trying to group or combine data or to obtain data from different organizations to share them somehow so that everyone working in that sector can benefit from them. That's what we would call our data space. What we've done here is to work on technologies in order to help them share data. There will also be a topic focusing on the exchange and monetization of data. So in previous topics, there have been things related to data management, and now we're talking about how to obtain an economic profit from the management of data. Then we moved to from cloud to edge to IoT. We're used to sending things to the cloud and doing cloud computing, but now it's not only about working in the cloud, but also to work on the edge of data that is closer to the data. With these three elements, the idea is to have a continuity in order to move from one to the other. So far, we've seen improvements in order to get to a common operating system. And the idea now is for people who want to work on these lines to have a cognitive cloud. That is, to give much more importance to artificial intelligence and also to have better tools for the decentralized management of information, which is usually quite complex. Here we try to strengthen the capacity to analyze data in Europe, to use artificial intelligence for more precise outcomes, and also to work with extreme data with variable, different, quickly changing data. The idea is to have tools to work with these things, which is usually quite complex. These would all fit within the frame of Cluster 4. Now we move to digital emerging technologies. These technologies have to do with what I called emerging technologies, but we are talking about hardware mainly. We're talking about electronics, photonics, etc. Here, we should mention that most things that have to do with communication and electronics are in institutionalized partnerships. So the budget for both for them is quite low. In terms of photonics, it's a co-program partnerships. Also, that is the case for artificial intelligence, data, and robotics. As a novelty in digital emergence, we have quantum, graphene, and emerging technologies as well. In terms of electronics, there are two main blocks. One, in order to have ultra low consumption processors. The idea is to have services based on open source hardware. And then, in terms of pure electronics, we are talking about electronics for the Green Deal. That was what they used to do before, and now they want to have an international cooperation in semiconductors. The budget is also low because most of them are co-programmed. As for photonics, both now and in previous cases, the idea is to make progress in terms of photonic technology and multi-sensor systems. Now, well, before they focus on the technology itself, and now they're talking about the implementation of that technology. Finally, in terms of communication, now the idea is to focus on the transition from the 5G to 6G. That is to set the foundations for 6G. Work is going to be focusing on two lines. First, for the RIN networks. These are radio access networks, disaggregated, and then safe ultra-low energy networks. These in the field of communications. Most of the development is going to be done in a partnership outside the scope of this program. In the field of robotics, there are two main blocks. The first is mainly influenced by the partnership, and which focuses on innovation in artificial intelligence, data and robotics. The goal here is to combine robotic systems that use artificial intelligence for data. That is, having robots that use this intelligence to make use of this knowledge and to use it for much more efficient applications. Now, what they want, the idea is to focus on industry optimization. And in the field of robotics, the second important component has to do with the definition of the robots of the future. So the first component focuses on the use of robots together with artificial intelligence and data. The idea here is to develop the robots of the future. There are some things that have to do with cognitive systems, and now this focuses on the physical part, the hardware of the robot, so that they are much more efficient. That is, soft robots, or with new ways of moving, with better autonomy. So on the one hand, they focus on the physical development and also on the validation of these new kind of robots. Some of them resulting from the classes of from last year.
And then all the emerging technologies, some spintronic have been done, intelligent manufacturing, and now we're going to be working in nanomaterials. This is a bit different to ITC technologies and so on, but it's included in this part of emerging digital technologies. And finally, within this part of digital emerging technologies, we have the quantum technologies and the graphene. The quantum technology topics have already closed. You see a few that have been launched this year, and the ones that are outstanding are the graphene project. It's got to do with materials, of course, both with the topic of quantics and graphene. It's the first time that we have this in the topics of digital. In the past, it used to be in more scientific development. Now we consider that we already have the scientific development, and now we have to implement it in the development of products, of technologies. The quantum calls have already closed, and now there's different topics to do with graphenes, the development of devices and sensors, topics related to energy storage, biomedical applications, and so on. Several applications of graphene related to technological development. The last part is the part related to human beings. In this part, we have technologies, digital technologies, which are focused on the human being, based on the applications, everything we do through the internet, everything related to the artificial intelligence, extended reality, and so on. The first part is related to the artificial intelligence part. It's defined with a co-program. 5 topics have already been closed, and now we want to continue with 2 lines. One related to human empowerment, not achieving a Superman, but improving human capacities by adding artificial intelligence to help us take decisions and so on, and then joint research between different excellence centers. These are two big lines, but they are within the artificial intelligence. Regarding 3D, we want to continue having a safer internet in order to stop the abuse of child pornography. We want to put a stop to this, obviously, and then we have the collaboration on new generation internet with different countries such as the United States and Canada. Regarding the extended reality section, a few things have already been started, both in the technologies and the applications, in modeling and in optics, in media, in telepresence, and in ethics, of course. Now we want to improve the technologies. We want new sensors, new devices for extended reality, new haptic devices. And then there's also a topic related to extended reality and its implementation in learning. Obviously, COVID has promoted all the work in telepresence, in learning, remote learning, and we want to use all the possibilities of extended reality for learning. So far, there's a series of topics that already closed in the first call. Topics related to, indirectly to intellectual property topics, standardization, exchange of knowledge, and so on. All these are the topics that have already been closed. And there won't be any of these topics for this year. These are all the great blocks. As you see, the distribution of the budget, we have around 1,400 million euros in these 2 years. 50% of it is in emerging technologies, and the rest is more or less evenly distributed between data technologies and human technologies. Quantum technologies are, there's a lot of interest in this because we want to innovate in quantum technology. If we put quantum technologies together with robotics and analysis, with and artificial intelligence is also present in many of these topics. So all these projects related to artificial intelligence are a lot of space in this. The program is at your disposal. This call will open on the 23rd of November, except for the graphene projects, which opens in June 2022. The deadline is until April 2022. There are other digital programs that are related to this. We have the JTIs, Joint Technology Initiatives. There's a program for the development of technologies, one related to Creative Europe for radio, television, and cinema. We have a IPCEIs for developments in the cloud of new processes of microelectronics. These are projects more to do with industrialization, and then we have Team Europe that are related to infrastructures. Maybe some people might be interested in these programs. We don't manage them, but we could put you in contact with them. For support, you have the sites of Horizon Europe and the event CDTI. We organize events about all these things. We organize Infodays. From past info days, for the first call of 2021, we have these info days, the 23rd and 24th of June. We still don't have the dates for November, but we do expect that when they open, it will be some kind of info days, but we don't know exactly the date. It will be between the end of November, beginning of December. The Commission will tell us about these info days, and we will be developing all the topics we've been talking about. The national contact points in the digital part are 3 people. And besides me, we have Fernando Rico and Fernando Martin. We're here to help.